Hello, you amazing friends. This is your pal Edward Zia with the amazing Alice Cheng. Alice Cheng, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. I am excellent. Got some sun in this morning, vitamin D, all filled up, ready to go.
Now, Alice, love you. Now, I just want to apologise to the audience. For those that were on our live stream earlier, for no reason at 10 minutes, my webcam just died. So I just want to apologise, man. If my webcam dies again, it's going to turn into the full Alice Cheng show. Are you ready for the full Alice Cheng show?
I'll try. I'll do my best. Not as good as you, but I will do my best.
Not true. Now, for those across the world, please like, share, comment, say hello. I'm using my legendary mobile phone to keep track of your comments and reactions. And I just want to say it's just such an honorable pleasure to have you with us. Now, friends, the first thing I want to say is Alice Cheng's an amazing lady. She does a lot of career coaching, coaching for women, and also runs a relaxation business as well with candles and more. Alice, I just want to ask you, you've been a high-powered CFO in corporate before. You've been out on your own for a few years. What are some of the biggest lessons of life and business that you'd love to share with the audience right now?
Right. So a quick 1 minute backstory. So I was in my finance career for 24 years, had a midlife crisis at 40 and didn't want to do accounting anymore.
Yeah.
So I was racking my brain going, what do I do with myself for the rest of my life? And I've always loved coaching people at work with my team, with others who don't report into me. And so that's kind of the idea that was born in my mind. And so I started a side hustle. I did that for 4.5 years because I was too chicken shit to jump right in. So I kept doing this side hustle thing, and it got to the point where, what the hell am I doing? I'm not getting any younger, and my kids were getting a bit older and more independent. So I thought, I'll take the leap of faith. So 2 years ago, I left my corporate job, and here I am today. So the couple of life lessons
just to jump in there, we've had this chat off camera, and I love hearing it. What was that breaking point? What was that straw that broke the back of Alice Cheng, and you said, "I'm out of here. Whatever. I'll do what I want." What was that moment what's the moment that broke you and you stuck your fingers up in the air and said, "Whatever. I'll do what I want"? What was that moment?
Being told what to do, when to do, how to do it. I'm just not someone who takes instructions. So I wouldn't be like you, Ed, being military or army. I don't think I can do it. But more importantly, the stress of it all, when you are not doing something that's aligned to your inner core and your values, you drag yourself to work, it becomes toxic. And because I have a very high standard of myself, being a little bit of my upbringing and being Chinese and Asian, there's never a good enough moment I'm good enough. And so when you're doing something you hate and you're trying to reach that standard, it's a constant conflict, inner conflict. And so I had depression. I was drinking too much. And the thought of doing it for another 24 years, I was going to kill myself. So that kind of broke my fear. And I thought, what's the worst it can happen? If I can't make it, I'll go back to my corporate job. I mean, but if I don't try, I know I regret it on my deathbed.
Yeah, it's funny because talking more on not so much a racial, but a racial cultural sort of level. We've had, so I come from I'm a Arabic sort of Christian background, and you're obviously you're Asian, right? Hong Kong, actually, right? Is it from Hong Kong,
yes.
right? Hong Kong,
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
go the honkies.
Because when we're generalizing like heck here, and I'm probably completely wrong. But we're saying that in the Asian world, it's all about getting that big job and just working your way up, and you're always a loser and you're never good enough. And that was that basically the upshot of our conversation, right?
Absolutely. You're defined by the amount of money you have, the car you drive, the bags you carry, the clothes you wear, and that kind of ingrained in me. And that was the definition of success. You've made it.
And you're always a loser. You're always a loser, right? And it doesn't matter what you do, you always suck and you need to do better. Is that a fair, tragic interpretation of it?
Yes. There are no Bajans, only Asians. So we were constantly told to get the A's in school.
Because it's funny, again, I'm generalizing, obviously horribly generalizing. A lot of people are going to rightfully say that I'm wrong and send me hate mail and say you should, right? But in the more, right, I suppose I'm general, I know Arab means a lot, but in the more, I'll say Middle Eastern, right? In a way, we have the same version, but it's not so much you have to get that job, but you got to start a business, you got to be successful or you're a loser. So it's the same pressure applied differently in different ways, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, we've been told, go be a lawyer, go be a doctor, because that's how you're going to get rich. But what I think my parents failed to realize, and they're blue collar workers, so they don't know what they don't know. So to them, getting a white collar job at a desk job, you're going to have a better life, you're going to be rich. But, you know, we've evolved, and I've evolved. And growing up in Australia, I came when I was 9, I definitely saw the, you know, don't live to work. It's got to be the other way around. And certainly being in a job I hated cemented in my idea, I can't work forever. I'm not, number one, I'm not going to get rich that way. I'm going to pay a whole heap of tax, working for someone, sell my soul, do 24/7. Then why not do that for myself? Because every effort I put in, every minute I put into my work, I'm going to reap the reward, whether that's, you know, richness in personal growth. Yes, the money, but also the personal growth is important. I felt I hit a ceiling in corporate. Every business I went to was similar, was the same. So that kind of pushed me as well into doing something different and take that leap of faith.
Yeah, it's funny that I was having this conversation with a lot of people, including yourself, in that the way the workplace is structured these days, right? I mean, there's only so many general manager, CEO, CFO, and director jobs out there, right? Once those jobs are filled, how are you going to be financially successful? You know, it's everyone talks about, you just need to get a job that pays 500 grand a year. There's not that many jobs that pay 500 grand a year, right? Just
exactly.
That's not Ed's opinion. Just look at the ABS stats, right? And I suppose it brings us to the interesting point that, you know, career-wise, you want to make sure your career is doing well if you want to make decent amounts of money. But also, too, you might even consider doing a side hustle as well. I just want to ask for your general thoughts. How do you advance your career to increase your funding, and how do side hustles and all that fit into it, Alice Cheng?
Yeah, so I felt when I started my side hustle, because it wasn't all anchored to, I've got to make money, I've got to live off this side hustle. It was a passion project. I really did call it a passion project. And my passion was in coaching people and helping people from being very low in their self-esteem, but they had the potential and capability, just didn't have the belief to get them to that next step. And by doing that, I felt good. I was helping someone, leaving a footprint on this planet, because I do believe we only have a short amount of time. I know, as cliche as it sounds. Right. So that kind of pushed me to do more of it rather than the money.
I'm almost 50, Alice Cheng. I just want to jump in there and say we don't have much time on this planet. I think thinking we're going to be around forever is a dangerous illusion to buy into.
Absolutely. You never know. My kids might live to 200 with technology. I don't know, but I certainly am going to cut off at about 85. I reckon. By then, I reckon I'm done. That's besides the point. Another conversation for another day. But
I quit.
Because
of whatever, I'll do what I want. Whatever, I'll do what I want. There we go. Sorry.
That's right. But the side hustle, to me, because it wasn't a lot of financial pressure, I grew better at it because I was passionate about it. And also I learned different skill sets from my day job, because as a finance executive, all I was the go-to was all finance. I didn't learn about digital marketing. I didn't learn about content creation. I didn't learn about copywriting. Whereas in my own passion project, I had to learn all those skill sets. So in fact, a side hustle, going back to your original question, actually help you accelerate your career if you want to go down that path.
Because I love where you're going now. I want to talk to you a bit about career, right? Because again, one of the big things that you do is helping people with their careers. You're helping people increase their funding, get promotions, stop them working at places where they're being taken advantage of or not being appreciated. I was going to ask you, because there's a lot of people watching who are in a career and things aren't going their way, right? They know they deserve more than what they're getting. What do you say to those people watching? Now, obviously, they can speak to you, but what are some of the tips and insights you give to people to help them turn their careers around or even just break through any ceiling they're up against?
Yeah, so the first thing is look in the mirror. What are your key strengths? Because if you don't know what you're offering in terms of unique value proposition, then how are you going to sell that? So it's important to have a look in your toolkit. What have you got in terms of tools, and what do you need in order to get to your next role? If you know that. So again, you need to know where you're heading. You don't need to know exactly, I want to be a CFO. I think that's too far out if you're just starting out, but at least you need to know the direction you're heading. The second thing is to get some sponsorship within your business. So talk to various stakeholders, build your network, build up a brand, because these days, anyone can build a brand. LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you prefer. Social platforms are great for you to build that brand, but you've got to back it up, right? You can't just build a brand and have no substance. So again, it comes back to what skills have you got, how are you going to promote yourself, and then get some sponsorship within the business. Now, if you don't get the sponsorship, because impressions and perceptions, once set, it's very hard to change. So then I would suggest to go outside and explore the market outside, because you can always work for someone else. You don't have to stay where you are, put up with whatever it is, put up with the ceiling, but you need to know how to sell yourself. That's probably the 3 tips I can give you. And then get a coach. If you can't get there yourself, someone who's been down that path and further down ahead of you is going to be able to help you with their life lessons, because I've made so many mistakes. I reckon if I got a coach early in my career, I probably would have left corporate 5 years ahead, and those 5 years I can't buy back. And that's the important point. You can't buy time back. So don't sit there and put up with it. Every minute counts. No matter how wealthy you are, you can't buy time back. So don't wait and put up with it.
And just in terms of not buying time back, but buying a bit of life back, we were chatting before, so I understand you're playing digital nomad. You're in the Central Coast. You're traveling right now. What shenanigans and travel antics are you up to, Alice?
Okay, I definitely have drank too much. So yesterday I detoxed, didn't drink. Today I'm not drinking, hopefully. Don't know, never know. But I feel like I need...
You should drink. Just have one or two. And just have one or two, then just another one or two, another one or two.
One big one, double shot. No...
We on LinkedIn encourage responsible drinking. Sorry, carry on.
Responsible drinking. I have done RSA. Now, digital nomading for me is my North Star. I purposely set up my businesses so I can leave it, travel, and do it anywhere in the world, because again, I've been quite sheltered in my life. So I really want to go see the world, have the means to do so. And therefore, instead of waiting to get there and travel, I'm sort of implementing it as I go. And this concept of act as if you're already in that goal or you've reached that goal. So once a year, I go away, I leave the family. So I've got 2 kids and a husband and a dog. So every year, once a year, I just go away by myself for a week. I pick a location that I enjoy. I can go to the beach and do all that, but also plan out the following year and what have I done, and really have some good heart truth conversation with myself to go, oh, what did you F up? What can you do better? And how are you going to push yourself? And these are really important conversations to have, because only you know yourself better. I mean, your spouse knows you, but they're biased, aren't they? So it's good to look in the mirror and have that conversation and plan out the year, plan out your goals, and put a plan in place, but more importantly, take action.
And on that note, just out of interest, from what you've learned this year and what's happened, what are your big moves for next year? What are some of the legendary strategies to retake the Earth from the aliens that you're planning? What have you got cooking?
Okay, I've set a very big BHAG. My big, hairy, audacious goal is to 2.5x my businesses. So this year, I was very grateful. I set up a second business in Aura, which is an affinity to my coaching business. It's a relaxation mindset, positive mindset business that really plays well with my own coaching. So next year, I really want to 2.5x my business, but also do more marketing. I've been really crappy at selling. I'm not following up. So I've learned from you, Master Ed, to really follow up on my leads, generate that bigger funnel, which I'm not doing.
I've been there too. No shame in that. Yes, I call myself a master salesman now, but I would not have said that 6 to 12 months ago. So no shame in admitting that, Alice. I've been there.
And I'm definitely no shame. I know what I'm capable of and not so great at. So definitely following up on leads, generating that bigger funnel. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I haven't spent much on marketing. So I think it's time to invest in that marketing space. But maybe it's also expanding my market. So, as you know, I'm trying to crack more into Melbourne. I've got coachees down there, but I can have more of them. I'm looking at Brisbane. I've got a few international coachees. So I want to really take it to that next level and be more domestic and global, like Ed. I'm following Ed and Lassie in their footsteps. And more importantly, take more self-care moments, because I think in your own business, I am working 7 days, odd hours here and there. But, I think as my daughter goes into year 12 next year and it's crunch time, probably allocate more time and support her, because she's only got 10 months to go in her career in high school. And that was the purpose of me leaving corporate, was to be there for my children as they move through high school. And then after that, hopefully in 2 years' time, I'm off and becoming a digital nomad full time. Hopefully.
Oh, wow. It's funny you say all that. Very interesting. Like talking about marketing and costs for the moment, right? One thing that I found fascinating is that if I look at my biggest marketing spend, it's actually airlines and travel. So what I found with LinkedIn that's fascinating is that posting on LinkedIn is free. It doesn't cost, like I get at least 15, no, that's not right. I get at least 20,000 views a day on LinkedIn, and I don't spend any money on LinkedIn. I found my biggest cost is actually traveling to meet people, right? That's my biggest cost. And I love where you're going. I love your focus and the way that you've taken action, how you're planning on build your business next year. And I want to ask you for some advice to some of our viewers. Now, if you just come in, like, share, comment, you're probably watching the recording as most of you do, which is awesome. But first question is, I'm going to ask you a few scenario-based questions. For someone who's watching that their life they're in a job, their life and relationships aren't working out. They're probably male or female, but probably female. Yes, they got to go and talk to you, which is obvious, which we'll come back to. But what are some of the first things you say to those wonderful people listening who are stuck? They're not happy with their life, and they're right at the bottom of that trough. What do you say to those wonderful people right now?
You are unique. And you are capable of many things, because when you're down at the bottom of the barrel, and I've been there myself many, many times, you feel hopeless, you feel helpless, and you are not sure whether you can do it. So first thing is to really pick yourself up. And my actionable suggestion here is look at all the achievements you've made. You are worthy of that goal. You are worthy of that job. So everything comes from the inside out, honestly. And I love that movie Inside Out, because it really depicts what goes on the inside gets projected on the outside. And we try and put on a mask. So if you're going every day to work trying to put on this mask, but deep down you're like, oh, I'm worthy of more, but I don't know what to do. Then first thing is to sit down, update that CV, think about all your achievements, and then go, actually, I've done a lot. I'm not completely useless. I'm not hopeless. Then you start taking steps towards that goal or that next thing. Definitely talk to your support network. You've got friends, you've got, mentors and things like that. Get an objective view as well, because often you are so harsh on yourself. I've been there. You are so harsh on yourself that you don't see the entire picture. You're losing the forest for that one tree.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about it the other day. You just triggered it. I remember where. This is post-military. When I was in private industry. Long story short, had a really, really good job. Started really well. Had a bad boss. Things changed, and I missed out on a promotion. Right. What was interesting is a promotion came up. I was the best candidate for the job. I didn't get it. I got it to someone else, and then that person left immediately. Right. But I was already incensed. I already had enough of the place. In a way, the promotion was available to me, but I already hated them. I already had mentally turned on them. Yeah. Right? And what I remember about the story is I ended up getting a really good job. It was like 40 grand a year extra, moved interstate, started a whole new life. And then the idiots came back to me trying to offer me a promotion. I actually yelled at the guy ringing me up. It's one of those, I don't often lose it, but it's one of those moments where I just lost it, right? I probably lost it about 4 or 5 times in my life, and that was one of them, right? It's like, after all the stuff you did to me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I went full arrow, right? The thing I find funny about that experience, right, is that bad bosses, and yes, and I am talking about bad bosses. Bad bosses, I find, like to condition their employees to fit. You don't deserve any more, so therefore you got to stay here loyal to me.
Yes.
What do you think of that common and dark practice?
I've experienced 3 bullying bosses in my life, and they were dark times because they hammer your self-confidence to the point where you are negative territory. And so again, I took my own advice. I thought of all about my key achievements. And then I made a change. Everyone's got a choice, right? So I think you should make that choice. Either stand up to them and have that conversation, constructive conversation going, I don't appreciate being bullied, and see what they say. Unfortunately, in my case, one of them was an owner of the business. So bit hard to tell them to, F off. But I made a choice. I left, and I left with dignity. I knew I achieved a lot for their businesses. Actually, 2 of them were owners of the businesses. I achieved a lot for them. And it was time to focus on myself. So I think in those toxic environment, you've got to build courage to make that choice and actually then execute that choice. Because if you keep doing what you're doing and expect a different outcome, well, that's insanity, and that will be on you. And I understand it's not hard to make. It's not easy sometimes to make the decisions because you've got responsibility, you've got a mortgage, blah, blah. In those cases, again, get your support system to help you. There are people around you who are willing to help. You've got to ask for help.
In fact, one of our long-term clients and friends, all private confidential, of course, I actually mentioned, passed your name on to him. Basically, long story short, he worked really hard for this given company. This company has basically given him notice till the end of the year, right? Been there for years, basically. And rightfully so, this guy was angry. He was pissed and livid. And he was ringing me up. And he's a very pleasant guy. He's a very pleasant guy. He's not a crazy lunatic like me. He's a very normal, balanced character. He rang me up. He was very angry. And I gave him some advice, which I think you'll be proud of. And I said to him, look, I get that you're angry. If I was you, I'd be angry. But you know what? You should just quietly quit, do your time there, don't work more than 90 minutes a day and work on your side business. And I know you agree with that. And I did mention you should speak to my friend. Anyway, he paused for a second, over the phone, he paused for a second and he goes, Ed, I love your advice. I'm going to do it because at the end of the day, if you've got an evil boss, there's nothing to be gained by fighting. You're only going to lose by fighting with them. Right? There's nothing. It's like fighting with a cop, right? It's going to end with you getting, whether you're right or wrong, it's going to end with you getting tased, in handcuffs, or beaten up in the back of the car, right? I
agree. Yes. And you know what? Still do what they pay you to do because you've got your own integrity. So for me, it was, 9 to 5, I'm out the door. I will not give you more than you pay me for. And you're right. I actually worked on my side hustle from 5 to 9. That's when I was making money for myself.
Yeah. And he said, I loved it. And that's what I say, and I know I was just quoting Alice Cheng advice there, but to me, that's what I think anyone should do. So in agreeing with Alice, if your life and career isn't working out, don't fight with your boss. Don't get angry. I would say actually talk to Alice first before you start doing crazy shit and getting arrested and winding up on television, right? For the wrong reasons, right? Or winding up in YouTube clips that go viral, right? I think definitely talk to Alice first. That brings me to one of our closing points, Alice. Tell us a bit about how you work, how people can get into contact with you, and what the process is there, be it for personal coaching, career coaching, or more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I'm having serendipitous moments because a lot of women are coming to me and saying, my kids are still young. How do I advance my career, but taking a pause? So I'm getting asked those questions, which is very interesting. A lot of questions lately are, how do I start a side hustle? How do I don't want to do my career anymore, but I can't quit because of financial responsibilities and mortgages, which I totally get.
Right? golden
Yeah,
handcuffs.
absolutely. And I say to them, well, don't think of it as a side hustle. Hustle puts a lot of pressure on you. Why don't you just start something that you're passionate about and just start? You know, whether you need to do some free coaching just to get a testimony, just to get you going and refining that system if you want to coach. So to get in touch with me, just LinkedIn with me first. That's my first place of contact. And then I just want to get to know you because I'm not for everyone. I've got to be honest, my style is not for everyone and you may not be a good fit for me. So let's get on the
Alice
phone.
Cheng's style is for brilliant people that want to succeed. So if you're a brilliant person that wants to succeed, if you're not brilliant, you don't want to succeed, then I agree, Alice Cheng is not for you. Sorry, Carrie.
Look, sorry, selfishly as well, I do love the fact
in that, wasn't it? Did you see all the NLP tricks I used there? A lot of NLP there. There you go.
You did.
A lot of NLP.
But the beauty of my business is I get to choose people as well because I don't want to coach you if you're not coachable. And I would refer you to someone else who might be a better coach for you. So it's got to be a fit. So let's get on the phone. Let's have a conversation, 15-minute conversation around what your needs are because I tailor my programs to you. And then I've got all sorts of things. I've got DIY CV writing. I can write it with you. I can interview with you. I can help you accelerate your career. I can help you with that side hustle. So I do many different things. A bit of life coaching I've fallen into by accident. So just reach out on LinkedIn and let's see how we can work together. But if I can leave you with one thing is we're almost at the end of 2023. All right. 2024 is not far ahead. There are 39 days till Christmas. If you really want to change your life, then at least have a conversation and then action. Because I've got so many people who come back 2 years' time and they haven't moved and finally they want help, but they've sat there, procrastinated, fear, money, investment. It's the best money you can invest in yourself because, and this is not just for me as a coach, I mean, even as any consultants out there, you're investing in your own personal growth that will pay you back in the long run. I mean, in my career, I took a 70K pay cut one time to do a role. That's now paid me back in hundreds and thousands of dollars. So sometimes you don't want to just focus on the dollars right now, immediate gratification. It will pay you back in the long run.
Alice, very good. And everyone just adding to that, Alice Cheng, amazing woman you can trust. Definitely have a discovery call with her. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I say this, and this goes for our business too, but again, focusing on you is if 2023 hasn't been the best year for you, I would say don't blame yourself because, I mean, we've had, 8 interest rate rises. We've got out of control governments. We've got who are just doing terrible things that are making our life harder, right? And if you haven't had the best year ever, the first thing I want to say to you, it's not your fault. However, I will say this, right? Don't just go on same old, same old. Speak to Alice, get some help because you want to start working now on making your 2024 your best year ever. Do you agree with that sentiment, Alice Cheng?
Absolutely. Because, you know, Christmas is upon us. Before you know, you're drinking, you're being merry, you forget New Year's come around and the end of January, you're like, shoot, 1 month is gone. I better get going. Why not get going?
That's a bit to get started now. Alice Cheng, you are a brilliant and powerful lady. Thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, can we get a quick closing thought from you and we'll finish up on that?
Oh gosh, my theme for my conference with myself is dream it, believe it, make it. But that's the process, if I can leave it with you.
Oh my God, you've heard it all from Alice Cheng. Alice Cheng, thank you so much. We'll leave you back to your conference and chilling out and winning big. Alice, thank you so much. And to all our fans around the world, we love you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. We love you.